In this video, we're going to talk about our new twist mount system, which started as a viewfinder mount, but ended as something even more useful. We'll look at the individual components and then build some rigs on these different cameras. This is a double-sided NATO rail with safety pins so you don't accidentally drop an accessory. This is a 15mm rod that's permanently attached here by a friction knuckle, so you can actually adjust the friction on this thumb screw and then move the NATO rail independently of unlocking wherever this rod is clamped. To the NATO rail, we can add this NATO clamp with friction 15mm opening, and this attaches any of these components here. So we have a version for the Canon C400, C300 Mark III, and 500 Mark II, an Arri rosette, Sony quarter 20, which is great for Burano, Arri quarter 20 with locating pins, so this attaches red monitors and other Arri standard quarter 20 products, some of the new small HDs, Arri 3/8, and then we also have female quarter 20 and 3/8 with locating pins, which we'll look at in a moment. And then the L bracket, which includes 2 screws for attaching accessories or viewfinders. And then we also have a rod clamp, which we've added to our system here, and this has the Canon striped rosette, so we can look at that on the C300 Mark III. To install one of the accessory attachments onto the friction knuckle, you can align the 15mm spud with the friction opening on the clamp. Just make sure the thumb screw is loose and then snap this in. You can hear that it snaps in and it's retained in there. And once you add a little bit of friction to this knuckle, this will not come out. It just pivots in place. The C300 Mark III and the C400 use the same twist mount accessory sets, so this will work with that camera as well. We have our Canon striped rosette rod clamp attached to the front of this top handle. We have our 15mm rod to NATO rail, friction knuckle, and the monitor attachment. Because there are 2 points of friction on this system, we can just grab this monitor and position it in a way that we need it. You can also unlock the rod clamp thumb screw and slide this rod out if you need to change the distance between the lens and the monitor. On this red Komodo-X configuration, we've changed the rod clamp to our single rod clamp attached to our Arca top handle. And this red monitor setup requires the monitor base to be attached in this position. So this actually lets you position the monitor more fluidly than you would if it was directly attached to the front of the camera. This is a 7-inch monitor, and because the arm is so long, we can actually get a good range of motion with this, so you can get closer to behind the camera or over the lens area, further away from where you normally would. This is also a double-sided NATO rail, which is how we've configured it over the lens. We can also swap this, pull this rod out, take off our NATO clamp, drop this in the other side, and then we can lock our NATO clamp here. Now we're ready for shoulder-mounted shooting. On the Burano, we're using a rainbow top handle with multifunction rod bracket on the front. We've added a Sony quarter 20 in our knuckle here, which allows us to use the pivot adapter. So you can have your viewfinder mode. You can also pivot to LCD mode. You have 2 friction adjustments as well still. So you really get a full range of motion without having to touch a thumb screw. Now for the fun stuff, you can attach other accessories to NATO rails in very tight spots using the twist mount system. Here we have a DJI transmission attached to our L bracket, and we have our NATO clamp ready to go onto this NATO rail on the bottom of our Burano. Slide it on. We can lock the thumb screw in a weird spot and then pivot our accessory up into the right position. Let's say you need to position an audio adapter in a very specific way. We have added a NATO rail here. We can use our female quarter 20, attach our AB1 XLR adapter using a 4mm Allen wrench. Lock that down. Then we can add our friction knuckle. Just pop that in. Add a little bit of friction. Adjust on our NATO rail the position. You can even wind up the excess cable if you want to tidy up your build. Now you have XLRs going in whatever direction you need. The twist mount system is available now at mib49.com.